Ja Morant hitting a buzzer beater to lift his Grizzlies in his first game back after the 25-game suspension. He just took over, and he ended it at the buzzer. What a shot in traffic on one of the best perimeter defenders in the league in Herb Jones. I know Dyson Daniels was shading over as well. What a game. What a storybook, I was going to say ending, but return for Ja.
Yeah, when they talked about it pregame, the week leading up to it, head coach Taylor Jenkins was asked, is he starting? Is he starting? He said, yeah, this guy practices so hard, he is ready. But he didn't look incredible in the first half, even though he went hard to the rim in his couple stints in the first and second quarter. But the Pels were rolling. That run where CJ McCollum was the guy making Ja Morant dance. He actually dribbled left, right on Ja Morant in that second quarter, hitting 5 threes in that first half where they went on that incredible run, a 28-2 run. It looked like it was over, but shout out to the Grizzlies bench who really made this happen because it was a wide open game until the fourth quarter, but Xavier Tillman banging a three, Zaire Williams scoring at the rim in the fourth quarter, and then Desmond Bane hitting a mile of a shot that was like really, really, really far away. But when Ja Morant came back after all that support, and he scored 14 in that fourth quarter, you literally just watch one of the most athletic players in the game, the way he was able to just get to the rim. And that last shot, too much one-on-one-ish. Maybe Herb Jones could have used a little bit of help there, but he just went right at him and was able to just hang in the air. So yes, storybook ending there for Ja Morant.
34 points, 8 assists, 6 boards, a steal, and a block in 35 minutes of action, including that game-winning sort of layup, floater, whatever you want to call it, TK at the buzzer to give them the win. In a huge comeback. I mean, this game looked like it was going to be over.
Yeah.
Sort of when that was a 30-5 run, 28-2 run, whatever you want to call the run. It looked like it was getting out of hand. And the Grizzlies sort of hung around, got contributions from a lot of these guys, and then the Ja Morant just takeover.
Yeah, Brandon Ingram was cooking for a while, but then the ball didn't find him, I feel like, the last couple of minutes for the Pelicans. And Herb was roasted completely. I mean, he got taken off the dribble twice before that last play with Ja Morant, and then I can't believe that he actually let him get into the lane again. Ja didn't make a shot outside of 8 feet last night. He was trying to get to the rim to shoot layups, which was working, and he got, I guess, a layup, maybe a floater, whatever you want to call it. Good shot by Ja Morant, but pretty weird to see nobody helping at the rim. That was just nonsense, I thought, by the Pelicans. It was scripted is what was happening. Willie Green said, there's no way we can put a big guy out there. It'd be too much challenge at the rim.
Yeah. I mean, you just see the difference in this team, though. The pressure that Ja Morant puts on a defense and just and his playmaking as well. I mean, he had a couple. I think there was times in this game where the Grizzlies forgot how to play with Ja Morant to be ready for the ball. There was a couple that zipped out of guys' hands. They maybe weren't ready for it because he's so athletic. He's one of the most athletic guys in the league. He had those 2-and-1s that really got the Grizzlies back in the game there in the third quarter. It was in short succession there. And I also like the defense he played at the end there. I wrote in my notes, 2 minutes left. Pelicans up 2. I mean, they're still in control here. They got the ball. Ingram tried to throw a sort of an entry pass to JV, who was down by the rim. He tried to lob it over everyone. I think it was going to get there, but Ja Morant has the hops, sniffs it out, and then manages to keep the ball to the Grizzlies because he whipped it off Zion's leg, and they got that possession. And that was a big one, him playing defense there. And this was in a game where he's huffing and puffing. He's like, oh my God, I got to get the oxygen because, you're playing at that NBA speed. I don't care how athletic you are. If you haven't done it in 8 months, it's going to be a shock to the system.
And it's totally true that he couldn't hit a shot outside the lane because he hasn't played a game in 8 months. He just needed to get in the lane more and more. And maybe this thing was scripted. It did feel a little, a tiny bit scripted in that Herb Jones was guarding him. And even the help that was coming from behind in Dyson Daniels, he could have maybe blocked it.
He didn't.
Yeah, I know. That's why maybe I thought this was well written in that he had 5 points in the first half. It's not like he was smoking hot in the first half, but because he hadn't played in a long time and started getting warm in the third quarter, and it was a double-digit deficit that to overcome in the fourth quarter even. But this is just a good sign for the Grizzlies that they have the absolute worst offense in the league. and then this guy comes back.
Yep.
And it's going to be like it has been the last few years, really.
It was so well scripted, they had 2 endings to run with. Because there was going to be the one where he didn't call a timeout, or the Grizzlies, didn't call a timeout, because Ja had the ball. He was ready to go in transition. He was maybe going to throw it ahead. Maybe he was just going to take it. No, timeout. Okay, we'll just still give the ball to Ja Morant in the backcourt.
And he ran back to where they called the timeout anyways.
Yeah, exactly. It was like, well, we scripted it so well. Don't botch this. Like, just give me the ball there. And then, yeah, he took him in isolation. Sort of help come, but not great help. And yeah, got it to drop. But it was cool. It was an awesome moment. It's neat that for months the conversation around this guy's been all about him in court cases and the disciplinary issues and, what all the suspensions, of course, and all this extracurricular stuff. And it was nice to be reminded when he does play, oh yeah, this guy is one of the faces of the league because of how talented he is.
Yeah, that was you couldn't have scripted it literally any better than that, I guess, unless you were going to have them playing at home in Memphis so that everybody was going insane when he finally made that shot. CJ McCollum, a couple of the worst misses you'll see from CJ McCollum. He had a wide open, or I don't know if it was open, a bad shot. Minute 45 left. It was a screen. It kind of felt like I need to take a shot here because Ingram has been monopolizing the ball so far. Bad air ball. Then he had a wide open look with 12 seconds left. Didn't hit the rim on the brick. That was pretty bad. I would have just kept going to Brandon Ingram time and time again.
Yeah.
He was getting some great shots, but Xavier Tillman I thought was pretty solid defensively in this one as well. There was a time when Ingram definitely hit some fadeaways over him, but he also stood him up on one drive, and then he had a big rebound to help there after, I guess, the CJ miss. So a nice win for the Grizzlies, but the Pelicans, I think, got to be kicking themselves. They should have won that game.
Yeah, CJ McCollum, he was either hitting threes or not even hitting the rim on his three-point attempts. There was a couple where he was like just to the side of the rim. You don't see that often from an NBA player, especially in a game where he was hitting a lot. And then Zion Williamson, a frustrating Zion Williamson game here. He got in foul trouble. It affected him. 13 points in the end, 5 of 12 shooting, 3 of 4 at the line, so he wasn't there a whole lot. Any thoughts on Zion there, Tess?
Well, yeah, the entire team was disappointing in those last couple minutes. The 2 bad shots by C.J. McCollum after having such a scorching hot game. And then Zion Williamson not being focused on whatsoever because I don't know why. He definitely was out of the flow after the third foul. I guess it was in the second quarter where our former colleague Chico Robinson had to walk with him back into the tunnel. He was so mad. Zion was fuming mad. Chico wearing a mask. I'm not sure. Our former colleague was wearing a mask. I'm not sure what. It was an interesting fact to me. But Zion went into the tunnel and then he came back. Like he was just jumping around mad and he just wasn't. He didn't have a play called for him, I don't think. For the first 48 minutes, he was just, that secondary guy, obviously. The lobs were there at times. But the Grizzlies also did a good job of breaking up those lobs. So it was odd to see the last couple minutes of this game from the Pels. You're right, Trey. They needed to win that game. They just needed a couple baskets. Yeah.
Well, the Grizzlies need it more. If they're going to get back in this thing, they need all of these type of victories. Never in NBA history had a player return from an absence as long as 25 games and scored as many points as Ja Morant did last night. That's one of the weirder stats I thought we've ever gotten.
What a pull.
34 points and the game winner is pretty special. Anything else from Grizz Pelicans there, which was very exciting. Again, it didn't look like it was going to be in the first half. I mean, it was like, ooh. But then suddenly it was a game, like just like that. That's the NBA. You can't turn it off.
Yeah,
I
thought it was basically because of Ja. In the first half, he only took 8 shots. In the second half, he took 16 shots. It looked like he was just trying to get in the flow and create in the first half. And then in the second half, Taylor Jenkins said, hey, no minutes limit. Just go for it.
Go.
Shoot it every time. We've been waiting 25 games to shoot it every time. And then Ja even went further to lie in the post game and said he was going to pass it into Jaren Jackson Jr. in the post. No, man. I don't think you were with 10 seconds left after the rebound. At the very least, good job by the rest of the Grizzlies to say, what are you doing, man? Just take over. That's what you've been doing.
Yeah, you see, I forget who said it on Twitter. It's like, you see why, like, Ja Morant is a type of player, he's the sun. Everybody else goes around him. You can't have Desmond Bane or Jaren Jackson Jr. as your sons. They got to be planets going around Ja Morant. And they had, fine games of both of them. You see them when they fall more into their role. Desmond Bane was being asked to do too much. He just was through the first 25 games without Ja Morant. Jaren Jackson Jr. had a couple really good games here recently scoring the ball, but again, you don't want him to be the one that has to get you 40 or 35 or whatever. You want him playing defense, obviously contributing in other ways. And it's just like they get to fall in line here, and we'll see if they can make a pretty incredible run if they pull it off after starting 6-19 here, now improving to 7-19 to get back into a play-in or a playoff spot.
Yeah, they're 13th in the Western Conference, so it's not a lock. I think if we're writing a script here, Adam Silver, let's go 1 through 16, East and West. Just re-rank them because we got the Warriors and the Grizzlies that have a potential of making a play-in spot there, but they're going to have better records, I think, than Eastern Conference teams. Anyway, the script was good. Yeah, T. Morant, Ja Morant's papa was there as well. They're 7-19 now. The Pelicans a couple years ago were started 7-19 in 21-22, and they made the play-in spot. That's going to be hard to do. We'll get to the Warriors. Like the Grizzlies schedule now, Marcus Smart should be coming back soon. That's amazing because they need some guard help. But they've got some tough games. They got the Pacers and then Hawks, Nuggets, Clippers, with another Pels game in there. So it ain't going to be easy to get back.